G'day there guys, doesn't know what day of the week it is and slowly losing my grip on reality, back at it again with another episode of r/AmITheA. Now with that said, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie and enjoy today's great content. Posted by user UnhappyDadman, titled, Am I the a-hole for making a complaint against a nursery worker due to how she reacted to my wife picking our kid up? So my wife is 36 and I am 37 and we have 2 kids. A daughter who's 8 years old, and a son that's 3. My wife is an essential worker, as she's a doctor. She works extremely long hours with hardly any days off, whilst I work the typical 9-to-5 job, so I've always taken care of arranging the kids for school and care, etc. Well, with lockdown, I've been able to homeschool my daughter, but since my wife is an essential worker, my son's nursery has still been able to take him in, so I have dropped him off there as normal, as even though I'm homeschooling my other kid, I'm fitting that around me working from home. It makes it easier for my son to still have his routine, and so I can do my work and so on. Anyway, I was going to pick him up like normal, but my wife chose to do it as she was off at that time and could actually get him. The people at this nursery know my wife, as do the parents, even though she's rarely there. She was actually happy to be able to pick our son up from our nursery for once, and I thought it went fine until she came home in tears. She told me this nursery worker, who was just started there, didn't believe that my wife was our son's mother, as this worker had only ever seen me. The other workers and my son told her that my wife was in fact the mother, and that she wasn't a danger to my son. The new worker still didn't believe it and said she didn't feel comfortable with letting a 3-year-old go off with a random woman she'd never seen before. My wife got really upset, and it then upset my son as everybody was practically saying there was no danger as my wife was a mother. A few other parents got dragged into this and backed up the other staff, and it was only through relenting that the new worker gave up. But she made a really angry comment along the lines of, maybe if you were here more often, I wouldn't have to verify your identity. My wife wants to forget it happened, but I am very angry. So the next day I picked up my son and asked to speak to the woman in charge about the new worker. She wasn't there when it happened, but I complained, and said that how my wife was treated was ridiculous, and that the co-worker was out of line for her snide comment at the end. The woman wasn't happy, and I have now learnt the new worker has been given a severe warning and that her behaviour is being watched. The parents who backed my wife up are torn. Some think I did the right thing as the woman didn't act professional, whilst others think I'm an a-hole for interfering. My wife is annoyed as she thinks I shouldn't have said anything. I really don't know if what I did was right or wrong, so am I the a-hole? I'm gonna say no. Straight off the bat, if you think, oh, I'm protecting this kid, but everyone's telling me I'm wrong, you are definitely not the a-hole for calling her out on her behaviour and getting her in trouble. Not the a-hole. If worker was actually worried, she would have asked for ID. That was being snide for no reason. The thing is, my wife would happily have shown her ID as she had nothing to hide. Of course. No parent would be mad at that, and if they had any doubt at all, they should have put safety first and asked. That was nothing but snide, catty nonsense. I had to pick up my nieces from school once. Had never done so before, and I don't have kids, so I don't know the protocol. I walked in, saw my nieces, told them I was picking them up. I was out the gate before a teacher ran up to me and asked who I was. She could tell the kids knew me, but I'm glad she made sure I wasn't kidnapping them. I did feel like an idiot, but NBD. Not the a-hole. Was a daycare worker, and I wanted to say she was doing her job to make sure your son was safe, but the other workers, we wouldn't take other parents' opinions, literally told her it's okay, and they've seen her before. The protocol also would have been to call you immediately, not just deny her leaving for however long that went on. Her comment was unprofessional, and she needs to learn that dads can stay home while women work, and what to do in that situation. I've worked in childcare and schools off and on for years. One thing that's been universal in any established place I've been in is an ID on file for who can and who can't pick up the child. I'm questioning if they don't keep good records, or if this new employee is just completely incompetent. Frankly, my dear, I just don't believe this posting for this exact reason. It sounds like there was no protocol, and just a bunch of parents and workers scrambling around without paperwork, verification, or the desire to call OP and verify. Same here. It just doesn't make any sense at all, really. Plus, why was it on one new person who doesn't even know the parents, who was apparently the only one allowed to decide to let the child leave? Nothing really fits here. I thought this. As the new member of staff, why would she be overriding people who've worked there longer? Wouldn't a new member of staff surely defer to the other members? Posted by user mainboot. Titled, Am I the a-hole for not letting my son graduate high school early? My 16-year-old son always hated school. He does well, but is bored. His counselor suggested taking short-term elective summer classes. Those classes would count towards his high school credits when he starts his senior year. His counselor also suggested taking community college courses that would satisfy required classes that he would have to take as a junior or senior, i.e., history, poli-sci, etc. The community college classes would be free, online, and would count towards his college degree. The goal was that by the time he started his senior year, he would only have to take a couple of bullcrap classes and stay at the school for a couple of hours a day. Literally, he could come at school at 10 a.m. and leave by noon, and that really excited him. After 2 years of summer school and online community classes, he has accrued so many credits that he could hypothetically graduate in 2021 instead of 2022. My son really wanted to do this, and I said no. My fear is that he will regret it. He doesn't know anyone in the class of 2021 and will miss out socially. Plus, if he were to graduate early, then he would resume going to community college full-time on campus, and I don't think he's ready for that sudden change. Edit. Even his high school counselor thinks it's a bad idea to let him graduate a year early. Edit. Also, by graduating in 2022, he can do even more online community college classes, and the school district pays for it all, including books. This will literally save thousands of dollars. Edit. For people who are saying that community college offers great clubs, housing, and has tons of students my son's age, have no idea what they're talking about. The CC that my son goes to is a commuter college. The vast majority of them are working adults, so there are no functional clubs, and they are much older than my son. And I have never heard of any CC offering student housing, and this is California. Edit. I also stand corrected by the cost. My son will actually have to take upper divisional courses, which cost $84 per unit, excluding books, materials, and other fees. It comes out to about $1,500 a semester full-time, and that is a lot of money. Edit. My son hates his teachers, not his friends, and it's not like he loves community college either. Edit. This has nothing to do with my son getting older. Even if he were to go straight to a university, he would still live at home. I am not paying $13,000 a year for him to live in some small shared dorm 9 months a year. And yes, that's how much it costs for student housing in our state, and that's a state university. Screw that crap. You're the a-hole. What do you mean he won't know anyone socially? If he's leaving for college, will he know anyone socially in his new college either? Stop being a helicopter parent and let your kid thrive. The part that annoys me is that saying that him taking classes after graduation will be too sudden a change. What do they think will happen when their son graduates normally? The same thing. I think it's too sudden for the parent, so they're holding the kid back. My thoughts exactly. When I decided to go to university early, I had sit-down meetings with the dean of my program so that they could assess that I was mentally prepared to make the leap, and they set up my on-campus housing to make sure that I had access to help if I needed it. This kid is doing community college, and sounds like they'll still be living at home, which really helps on both money and the mental aspects. This kid sounds smart and driven, and that they'd have no problem excelling as an early admissions student. That parent is YTA. You're the a-hole. You first mention he hates school, yet you knowingly refuse to let him graduate early when he is within his right to do so. Most likely, he does not enjoy high school in particular, and there are many possible reasons for that. His social experiences will not come to a halt if he graduates 1 year early. In fact, he might find it easier to make friends and pursue education in a college environment. You're the a-hole. Your son has worked hard to accumulate credits. You're robbing him of the benefits of his hard work. If he graduates early, he can go to college early, get a career started early, etc. You should be encouraging his work ethic, not throttling it. Son, I know you worked really hard for literally years to achieve a goal that excites you, but I'm not ready for you to take the same courses in person that you're already excelling at online. Way to encourage your kid, OP. You're the a-hole. So what, he doesn't know anyone in the 2021 class? He'd be there for 2 hours a day, and it doesn't sound like he cares to make friends with other teenagers anyway. And who the hell is ready for a full-time college at 18? He'll be 17, close enough. Also, he won't be there all day like a full-time job either. That's not how college is, unless to pay extra to take more than a full course load. And graduating early with these credits is a huge step up. You basically want to stop him from doing something great for his future because he doesn't know some kids a grade below him and you don't trust him to go to school, which is dumb because he's done nothing but for at least a year. Posted by user No Baby Room, titled, "Am I the a-hole for not wanting to share my room with my future nephew?" So I'm 21 male and my sister is 18 female. The day my sister turned 18, she moved out with some friends, and they all share a small apartment together just a mile away from us. I, however, stayed because my college was close to home, and I wouldn't waste much on living expenses. I started giving my parents money for rent, electricity, and water, and I buy my own stuff that I need like laundry detergent, groceries, etc. 4 months ago, my sister came out and told us she was 2 months pregnant. My parents were obviously disappointed, but they hid that from her and offered to help in any way with the baby. And they've been doing pretty much everything. They've gone out and bought baby clothes, toys, a bassinet, bottles, blankets, everything. Now, because my sister lives with other roommates, she said she can't have the baby there with her and her boyfriend, and convinced my parents to let the baby live here since she's less than a 5-minute drive away from us. My parents agreed with no argument, even though they clearly weren't expecting that, and I didn't voice any opinion about it because it's their house and they decide on what they want. However, I didn't know they were planning on having me share my own room with my nephew until my sister came home the other day and started moving the stuff my parents bought into my room. I told her there's no way the baby's going to be in my room. She was confused and said it was obvious the baby would stay in here because where else was he going to sleep? I honestly thought since she'd been needing to feed him every couple of hours the first few months, that he'd sleep in the living room with my sister, and then when he started sleeping through the night, he'd stay in my parents' room. Theirs is a lot bigger than mine anyways. To be honest, it bothered me that nobody even asked me permission or how I'd feel about that, and just assumed I'd be cool with sharing my room with a baby that's not even my responsibility. I flat out told her no, and took out all the baby's stuff. Of course, she gets ticked and goes crying to my parents that I'm being mean and unsupportive of her pregnancy. My parents say I should give up half my room for the baby because family take care of each other, but yet she's happy to dump her baby here instead of finding a new place to live. I told them that she's the one who got pregnant and it's not fair that I should give up my room because of her decisions. My sister stormed off and hasn't contacted us since. My parents keep telling me to apologize to her, and even a few other relatives are telling me I'm being cruel for not wanting to make such a small sacrifice for my own nephew. Which isn't fair. Babies cry all the time at all hours of the night. I'm not about to deal with all that in my own room, which I pay rent for, but that somehow makes me the bad guy here. Am I the a-hole? Edit. For people who keep asking, my sister and I used to share this room. I moved into our garage when I was 15 so I can have my own space, then moved back when she left. And no, I'm not moving back into the garage because barely any of my things will fit in there, and also because there's no longer a place for me to sleep. I'm gonna go right ahead and say he's not the a-hole. That's perfectly reasonable. The parents want to support the baby, so the parents should put that responsibility on themselves and not force their son into it, who doesn't want any mind. He pays rent, he gets a say. End of story. Not the a-hole. You pay rent. Why should you have to give up half the room? And it's extremely inconsiderate, especially because it'll mess up your sleep schedule. Tell your parents, taking care of each other is so true and all makes perfect sense, then move all the baby stuff to their room. Tell your parents taking care of each other is so true and makes perfect sense, and that's why sister should be here to take care of her kid instead of pushing it off on her brother, not the a-hole. But honestly, OP is already paying rent. It might make more sense to just make an agreement with his parents to not pay rent, but all his other expenses for the next few months so he can leave before the baby arrives. I doubt that his parents will not stop their daughter from putting her baby in the room with him. I also doubt that OP will not be expected to help out. If he stays now, it's likely that she is going to get mad and expect him to watch her kid at a moment's notice just because it's his nephew and he's her older brother. Not the a-hole. Your parents and your sister are being ridiculous. It is the worst possible time to do this, but you need to start looking for your own place. Wouldn't be possible, unfortunately. I'd barely make enough to afford a one-bedroom if I worked full-time, which I can't do because of school. It just won't be possible until I get a better job after graduation. Info. Can you and your sister swap places? Keeping mummy and baby together are paramount, of course, so everyone keeps paying the same amount of rent, but sis keeps her friends and now has built-in babysitters since family looks out for each other, right? By the way, not the a-hole. Everyone aside from you is cuckoo bananas for thinking it is acceptable to force you to be the parent. I would move to off-campus housing. 2 to 3 roommates is better than raising a baby. Your sister's plan is proof in the pudding, since she's abandoning her kid to family. Seriously, this seems like the better bet, OP. Even if you win the battle for your room, having a newborn in the house and your sister staying elsewhere means you've lost the war. Get out however you can before this baby arrives, unless you are okay with being the childminder, not the a-hole, obviously. Posted by user Lark Bottom, titled, Am I the a-hole for finishing my sister's wedding cake? So, my sister had a small informal wedding recently, and I stayed over at her place the night of. Basically, it turned out that only a small amount of the wedding cake was actually eaten at the event, and she put the other 80% into the fridge. I stayed up late and got stoned. I ended up eating the entire cake. The next morning, my sister was furious with me and claimed that it was for them, and that I should have only taken a piece, but that really baffled me. Yes, she didn't specify that I could eat her food, but it seemed natural to me that a house guest should be able to help themselves to whatever amenities are available. I refused to apologize, and she's still a little upset with me about it. Honestly, feel pretty stubborn about this one, but I'd like to hear anyone else's opinion. You ate 80% of their wedding cake. Of course you're the a-hole. Control yourself and ask next time. But OP waited an hour and it was only 3 feet of wedding cake. Oh, I got you, boo. Lol. You're the a-hole. Like, it's super duper clear that you're the a-hole. Guest or not, learn some manners. Edit, eating 80% of a cake is a far cry from helping yourself to the house amenities. Amenities usually refers to things like soap and shampoo, not wedding cake. I agree. Maybe leftovers, a sandwich or snacks, possibly a little bit of cake. But 80% of a wedding cake? Hell no. You've just reminded me. When we got married, we did a cupcake stand with a giant cupcake on top. We brought the giant cupcake home intact and left it with my lovely mother-in-law. The next day, we found my husband's middle-aged cousins had taken it upon themselves to cut the cake and eat a quarter of it. I was so ticked off at the greed and entitlement. We had planned to recreate cutting the cake at a party that night. We ended up turning it around so you can't tell it was mangled from the photos. But ugh, we can. Laughed it off in the end, but I feel the newlyweds' pain here. Clearly you're the a-hole. You are not entitled to just eat other people's food however much you want. And this sucks even more because it's a wedding cake. Your definition of being a guest is very skewed. Even if it was a normal cake, this would be the act of an a-hole. That it was a wedding cake just increases how bad it was. Wedding cakes hold sentimental value and symbolic meaning, not to mention the astronomical prices. I knew a couple who saved a chunk of their wedding cake in the freezer for their 25th anniversary and saved up to buy a $1,000 bottle of wine to go with it. It was their wedding cake, not OP's. I'd eat a piece or two of birthday cake without asking or guilt, but I don't know if I would ever even eat one piece of wedding cake without permission. That kind of cake holds a very different meaning to many newlyweds. Eating damn near an entire wedding cake, not even OP's own wedding cake, is a major a-hole move. Absolutely, and you're obviously the a-hole. It baffles me that OP thought this was an okay maneuver. Posted by user Didn't Wake Up GF. Titled, Am I the a-hole for not waking up my girlfriend for her exam after I overheard her calling me a little tramp? My girlfriend has online summer courses, and she had an exam for one of them this morning. I usually wake her up for pretty much everything because she sleeps through her phone alarm no matter how long it buzzes or how many she sets. She has joked that I'm her butler before, and within the context of a relationship, it's okay. So I don't mind. Obviously, I want to love my partner and try to make her life easy. However, last night she was chatting with her friends and she thought I couldn't hear. She was bragging that I'm her little tramp and I do everything for her when she tells me to, etc. It really hurt my feelings because they were making comments like good, put him in his place, and she was agreeing. She specifically said, yeah, I'm not worried about tomorrow because the tramp will make sure I'm up and he'll probably have breakfast ready for me too. I went to bed pretty hurt by it, and come morning, I didn't bother to wake her up when her alarm started to go. She usually only gets up when someone physically shakes her, but I let her turn off her alarm and she slipped back into sleep, and I turned around and went back to sleep too. When she woke up, she was yelling at me saying that I'm an a-hole and I've cost her an exam, and I'm a piece of crap for what I did. Edit, sorry for not responding sooner. I wrote this on my break at work, and now I have to get back to it. I can't have my phone because I work with food. I wasn't expecting this many replies so fast. I think we're breaking up. I told her this morning after she called me a tramp for being upset, being called a tramp, lol, but she says she's not done with me. I'm just trying to get through today's shift, then deal with stuff later. I'll try and get back as I can. We've been together a year, and it was my first real relationship, but I'm tired of her not acknowledging how crappy she made me feel and still calling me a tramp. That word really made me feel crap and small. Not the a-hole. Your girlfriend sounds incredibly abusive. You shouldn't have to put up with that. Don't wait for any more red flags. Get out of this now. You deserve better. Dude, get out. 2 red flags. You didn't put up enough red flags. Here's more. Here's the whole communist nation. You forgot some gold flags, too. I found another one under the couch. Nice. I found one in the cushions. Here you go, man. Had this one in my pocket. Rusty Garlic. He's got a red flag for us. One thing I never understood about this Reddit is the red flag comment chains. Every nice comment chains. I understand better than that. Whoa, there's a red flag in my bed here, too. It's insane. Oh, look here. I just pulled a red flag out of my ass. Do you want to see? Dude, the way she talked about you is horrible. Forget about petty revenge and leave. You deserve better. She doesn't even sound like she respects him. Don't be a doormat, OP. I hate the term doormat because it really puts the blame for abuse and controlling behavior on the victim rather than the abuser. I get what you say, but sometimes people do let it happen to them because love is blind. Hearing the truth can hurt, but sometimes people need to hear it. Look at how some people just keep forgiving their cheating partner and keep expecting it to turn around for the best. Opie is not the a-hole though, and should get out of this ASAP. He deserves better than this horrible girlfriend. By the way, Opie, make sure you let your friends and family know the truth. She sounds like the type who might try to turn your friends against you with the lies. Yeah, but it's sometimes happening because love is blind is the worst excuse to victim blame. It's the same as, well, generalizing anything. And in this case, generalizing the reason survivors stay in abusive relationships can cost lives. So don't do it. Tough love just hurts the abused. These people have been given tough love the entirety of their relationship. It's not right. You're not going to get anywhere by blaming them for their abuse, essentially acting exactly like the abuser. When you give a survivor tough love, you are valuing your own heroics over their actual safety and experiences. Be honest. Be loving and be there when they get out. Don't give them ultimatums, don't threaten them. Don't emotionally manipulate them by telling them they could die so they need to leave. Deep down, they know it's all wrong, and are thirsty as hell for a healthy relationship, and to be treated as a person. You give them what they need. Be the example with your partner of a loving and safe relationship. Don't ever mimic abusers. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Posted by user Soliloquy6762, titled, Am I the a-hole for making my 17-year-old stepdaughter do more work around the house? There's no school and she doesn't have a job, so my stepdaughter has no responsibilities at the moment. For context, her dad was a single dad until he met me when she was 10, and now we have 2 more children together. Her dad is a GP, so he works pretty much constantly, and I'm left looking after 2 children by myself for the majority of the day, both 5 and 2 years old respectively. Apart from cooking the daily family meal twice a week max, looking after the children 2 times a week when we go grocery shopping, and helping me put away said grocery shopping, my stepdaughter does nothing to help when I'm clearly in over my head, and she's old enough to be taught a little responsibility. When I was her age, I was working 2 jobs and looked after my little sister and helped out around the house without being asked. She had to be asked to do every little thing apart from the things mentioned so far, and always does them begrudgingly. To teach her a better work ethic, I put together a chart full of chores she has to do every day. Until she's done them, she's banned from using her devices, both her phone and iPad, and I also take away whatever book she's reading at the moment. She can have them back when all the chores are done. A typical day for the past week has involved her doing 5 chores of her choice from a list. The choices are, as examples, vacuum all of upstairs or downstairs, wash the floor, cook dinner, fold the laundry, do the dishes, dust any surfaces, tidy your siblings' rooms, walk the dogs, pick up dog poop from the garden, etc. This was all working out fine until my husband caught on to what was going on, and he accused me of being lazy and punishing her for no reason and overstepping boundaries. I don't agree at all. The household is running much more smoothly with her help, and I have more time to spend educating my 5-year-old since school is out and I need to make sure that he doesn't fall behind. Am I the a-hole? Major update. Thanks to you guys upvoting this so much, my stepdaughter found this post and showed it to my husband last night. I'm sure to you this is a perfectly happy ending, but you do understand that it's tearing a goddamn family away from their father, right? By the way things are looking, this isn't something he's willing to work past. I'm going to stay with my mother until the dust settles. Thanks for the awards. Major update 2. Since the discovery of my last post, my husband and I have had plenty of screaming matches. And finally, an honest sit-down discussing trying to resolve the issues. After much discussing, we decided to stay together for the meantime, but I'm on very strict probation. The rules and understandings we came to are as follows. 1. If I need paid help in the house, he will pay for it. 2. My stepdaughter will not, under any circumstances, be punished by me in any way. He is the sole disciplinarian, and any and all punishments must be enforced by him alone. I'm not allowed to forbid her from using any devices, and if I have any issues with her behavior, I am to voice them to him, but he will decide what to do about them. 3. My stepdaughter will do roughly an hour's worth of chores on all weekdays, and any big chores such as cooking and cleaning whole floors are to be a joint effort. I am to teach her how to cook and help her in the kitchen at all times. 4. She will not under any circumstances clean her siblings' rooms, and I have to teach our 5-year-old and 2-year-old to clean up after themselves. He mentioned he was shocked to learn that they couldn't already. 5. If any of the above rules are broken even a little by me, I'm out of both of their lives. I guess everything worked out. I am on very thin ice, obviously, and my stepdaughter hasn't even looked at me since the whole thing was unearthed. But I do actually want to build a relationship with her. I feel like after this, she will never feel more than tolerance for me. But I brought that on myself. This will be the final update on the situation. While a 16-year-old should absolutely have responsibilities around the house, and nothing on your list sounds excessive, I must admit that I'm a little concerned about the way this post is worded and the tone it conveys. It sounds like you're less concerned about your 16-year-old having a good work ethic and age-appropriate responsibilities, and more like you want free labor for you and your kids. If that attitude is leaking into your interactions with your stepdaughter and with your husband, I'm not surprised you're getting pushback. It sounds like it's time for you and your husband to sit down and address the actual issues here. I'd be open to changing my opinion with more info, but so far, you're the a-hole for the fact that you blew right by co-parenting to get your way. Further, the post suggests that you hid this all from your husband. Update in response to your update. If your actions were civil, fair, and loving, this would be the absolute best thing that could happen. It would be a wonderful way to start a discussion with your family about chores and contributing. The fact that you're upset about your husband and stepdaughter finding it is very telling about how awful you knew your attitude was from the beginning. Don't throw garbage out to sea if you don't want it washing back up on your beach. Whether anyone on Reddit understands a thing about your family is irrelevant. I'm sure you've heard the phrase, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Don't be mad at the people handing you the prize. You should be ashamed of yourself for playing in the first place. Are you giving him a valid reason to want to work past it? That's nice. She could probably use the extra 5 chores a day done. Nice. I'm glad your comment forced her to respond and show her true colors, using discipline as a way to draw lines in the sand between her real kids and her stepchild. Cinderella's evil stepmother looking ass. You're the a-hole. G'day there guys, outro Markee here. Hope you enjoyed the episode as much as I enjoyed making it today. If you did, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. Tell me what you thought about it down below. Also, if you like memes, be sure to head on over to my second channel, AmITheA. It should be one of the sexy Australian faces on screen, the one without the flag. It's my latest and greatest creation, and I hope you like it. Also, I'd like to give a huge shout out to my channel members and Patreon subscribers. You guys do so much good for me, and the support goes without saying, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I love you guys, and I appreciate all the help and support you provide me on this channel. Also, if you want to join the family, links are down in the description below, or click that join button next to the subscribe button. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed that one today. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.